Hi guys, I wanted to talk to you today about something that comes up very regularly when I talk to people, and it's to do with range of movement. Now, range of movement in training can be a good thing or a bad thing, and especially when it comes to people who are flexible, and on the flip side to people who are have very poor flexibility. Now, we're going to talk specifically about active range of movement available to you as an individual. Now, let's imagine we have a line of people all looking to do the squat. Now, people will say to me, should you squat to the floor? And I'll say, it actually depends whether or not your body is able to get to that place in a good biomechanical alignment and you have the range available to you. Now, if you have these people lined up all to do the squat, near enough each and every one of them is going to have a different squat pattern. Some people can get right down to the floor with a perfectly neutral back. Some people can get down about a foot. And that can be down to a number of things. Beginners, it can be down to poor strength in muscles that facilitate the squat, so the glutes and the hamstrings, and even the quads. And the erectors, the spinal erectors, being able to hold you up if you put the bar on your back. For other people, it could be down to your limb length. So, you know, the length of your tib and fib relative to your femur. And that's a really important part to consider when you're training. So when we talk about range of movement, the range of movement is very specific to you. So if I have somebody comment to me about the fact that you should always go deep on a leg press, I'll say, well, it's dependent on the range of movement available to the client that I'm training. Somebody who's very new to training would actually have quite a small range of movement if they're very weak or if their muscles are very, very tight. Somebody who's new to training might have a small active range of movement purely down to their limb length. From my perspective, I actually have pretty good flexibility, and as I've got bigger, I've worked very hard at maintaining my flexibility. But I can't go right down to the floor on a squat, so I'm like 1.5 inches off the floor, without my pelvis rotating at the bottom. So you have a lot of people when you come to the bottom of a squat and their pelvis flicks under. Now, that isn't an effective squat. That is a squat waiting for an injury to happen. Now, I will watch a squat and determine how far somebody can go down and train them in that range. The same thing goes to a lot of the machines in the gym. When you're doing chest, if you're heavily chested, coming down to that range of movement is what is available to me before I get any kind of complications in my shoulder joint through rotation. A lot of people try and get as deep as they can in the chest press, thinking that they're going to recruit more of the chest, but the deeper somebody goes, your shoulder's going to take on some level of rotation, and the stimulation on the chest fibers is going to be switched off. And then the first muscles you recruit from are probably going to protract the shoulders forward through rotation of your shoulders at the same time. So the range available to somebody is also the range in which you can maintain tension on the muscle that you're trying to train. So I'm going to show you on the leg press just how to understand this active range of movement. So I get in the leg press, and without any load on at all, I can bring the leg press down to where I feel comfortable. Now, a little tester is to lift your foot off. Now, I can do that quite far. So I can come down a little bit more, and now I can lift it off about 1 inch, and maybe come down a little bit more, and that's about my range. So as a safe test, bringing the leg press down and lifting your foot off will actually tell you where your active range of movement is. Now, when you see this happen in the gym, and somebody comes all the way down, I can also actually feel my pelvis tilting underneath. That's compromising the health of my lower back. That's also creating a shortening to my hamstrings rather than a nice length to the hamstrings by pulling and tucking them underneath. That's not what we're looking for. That's actually an injury waiting to happen. And people will do the leg press over and over again. They get tight hip flexors, they pop their SI out. And this is because they're trying to push their body into a range of movement that is not available to them. So I prefer to use the hack squat, the leg press, as a top end range of movement, because any deeper than that, you're going to compromise your pelvis. look at something like the hack squat and you're going to get a lot deeper purely because of the way that the machine's set up and the hip angles. So considering different pieces of equipment to train different ranges of the muscle fibers is very important. So just to wrap up, in the gym, you don't have to train deep on every single exercise if your range of movement is compromised and subsequently more likely to cause an injury. You're going to struggle to recruit the muscles that you're looking to train the minute that your range of movement is compromised. So have your own active range of movement assessed by a professional coach, train within that active range, get strong within that active range, and potentially as a new trainer or intermediate trainer, that active range will improve the stronger you get and more mobile you get. But if your active range is pretty limited, it's limited for a very good reason, and don't go outside those boundaries.